you and I both like Sam Darnold. Rough start. We always saw the playmaking.
Yeah.
We always saw the playmaking. We always saw the big arm, but he could be reckless. Is there something the film says, though, and this is why I love bringing you on, is there something the film says about Darnold that he doesn't necessarily get a ton of credit for?
I think there's two things, and you know, Colin, because I send you my evaluations of college quarterbacks. You know, I'm a traits guy.
Yes.
So there's two traits that I think have really stood out with Darnold that we didn't see much of early in his career. It might be his natural development, it might be the coaching. We don't know that, but there's two traits. One is pocket movement. He's much more efficient and much more effective when he moves within the pocket. I'm not talking about running out of the pocket. I'm talking about moving within the pocket, as we see on this touchdown last week that won the game to Jefferson. The other thing is sort of a corollary point to that. That's his ability to stay in the pocket and make late in the down throws when the pocket is squeezed and there's bodies around him. That was something he did not do well early in his career. He made a lot of bad reads and bad throws when he tried to do that. He's gotten so much better at that. So there are two areas of pocket play that are absolutely critical to being a higher level pocket quarterback that he's improved significantly at.
Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about this now kind of since the beginning of this kind of idea of how to be like an elite playmaker from the pocket versus, you know, we associate so much with these elite quarterbacks, their mobility, right? The Josh Allens, Lamar, Mahomes, etc. We know the names. And it's their athleticism, it's their ability to scramble around for 10 seconds, throw the ball 45 yards down the field, which is awesome. Or obviously just being able to just rip off a huge run themselves. But I think it is such an understated aspect of quarterback play, is being kind of throw guys open, anticipation, whatever it may be, as well as the mobility within the pocket, like Greg Cosell is talking about here. And it is something that you do see a lot of quarterbacks struggle with. And when they do it right, for me, and you know, I'm kind of a football nerd at this point, is like, it's just as beautiful to me. It's just as beautiful to see Sam Darnold move around the pocket. Just even something as little, like we've all seen this before, even something as little as it looks like the pocket's about to collapse. It looks like someone's about to kind of either strip the quarterback, and he just sidesteps and steps forward. Like something even so little like that, to me, is like poetry in motion. Like, it's so beautiful because it's just like you're just about to get it, and you don't have to now really dart backwards and jerk out of the pocket. Like, some of those things are great too, which is like what we see a Lamar Jackson, a Jaden Daniels do. But to me, it's like equally as awesome and special when you see someone just able to kind of just like ever so slightly like step over, move up. Like, it's just such a mastery of your craft, of the quarterback position, and also ultimately the confidence of what you're looking to do within the pocket, trusting that the play is still going to be there for you, trusting that the guys are going to be able to get open for you, whatever it may be. And it's awesome to see. And that's what we've been able to consistently see with Sam Darnold. And he's also been able to use his legs out of the pocket as well. But his movement within the pocket really, to me, has been such a thing of beauty, to then not only be able to have that, but then deliver a strike. Because again, how many times now also have we seen a quarterback be able to kind of move within the pocket pretty well, and you're just like, oh wow, he was about to get sacked and he didn't, and he kind of can sidestep, step forward, throw the ball, but then it's like either out of bounds or it's at the feet of someone, or, you know, like it just doesn't go well. It's overthrown. And you're just like, oh my God, you know, like what was the goal here? What were we trying to accomplish? And you just don't see that as much, obviously, with Sam. And you can even see the stats right here, right? Just in the last 6 games, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, that's pretty wild. That is really wild. Again, I don't care who your coach is. I don't care who you're throwing to. Those are great stats. It's just, and that's also the thing too, because I think Kevin O'Connell and Shanahan and whatnot have obviously clearly helped develop and helped Sam Darnold, as well as putting some nice pieces around him. But when you see his mobility and movement in the pocket, like, that's not because of Justin Jefferson. That's not because of, you know, we can't just credit that to just place. Some of it is to a degree, because like I said, you're going to trust what's around you. You're trusting what your coach is telling you. But so much of it has to be, again, right, him actually being coached, him evolving that game. And that's why Cassell was like, kind of like, I don't know if it was just, it just took him time to kind of understand it. It took the right coach to be able to work on it with him. Like, those are the things that I really wish you could really get the answers to, but you don't always get the answers. And even if we were able to ask Sam, how did this happen? Like, I don't even know if he would 100% be able to give you a truthful answer, either because he's unwilling to, or if he isn't even really 100% aware of like how his game, because you often get answers like, I've always been able to do that. Like you don't always get like the realist, the most accurate portrayals of some of those things. But I would love to know that trajectory. And it really will just continue to be. I think Sam Darnold right now is really at the ultimate top of the list of players now, where we'll really be able to use as a reference point as to be like, that's why you don't rush and to conclusions about quarterbacks. As easy as it is, as I still do it, because I'm already like, AR, you got to move on from him. Colts got to move on from him. And for all I know, 3 years from now, he's going to be like a top quarterback, And it is kind of crazy because we have such a deep track record of Sam Darnold not being this quarterback. And although I've obviously defended him throughout this whole season and going into this season, but it still is kind of so fascinating to see, because I see these plays. And that's why when I did the last game for the Vikings, I was just like, he's making like Josh Allen plays. He's making Mahomes plays. But you would never dare put him in that category. Now, if he was like a first-year or second-year player, or just a first-year starter or second-year starter, you would honestly say, I really do believe this, we would be saying he's on track to being a top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But because since we've already seen him for all these years, we're kind of like, no, the situation, it's a great year. I'm sure a lot of people also think that he might even take a half a step back next year, or if he went to a different team, he wouldn't look like this. But then also the question remains is there even more for him to go? Because we've seen him kind of go like, a step with McVay or with Shanahan, and then with Kevin O'Connell, definitely like an even bigger step. It's like, what about next season? Is there another step? Because if there's another step for Sam Darnold, how is he not a bona fide? Like, if there's a true next step, how is he not a without a doubt top 5 quarterback? I don't understand. If he takes another step forward, then how would he not be? How would he possibly not be? I understand people saying that he's not now. That makes complete sense to me. But how would he not be if he got even another step better? Like, who are you putting? Who would you put in front of him at this point? So it's just fascinating. Sam Darnold, like, I was so confident going into this season that he was going to be significantly better and that the Vikings were going to win games and be a legitimate contender. And I'm not doing a victory lap here, I promise. I have no idea what he will look like next year. I have an idea. I think this will be his floor. I don't think like, oh, this was just lightning in the bottle. He just had one really good season. You can't expect him to do it again next year. I don't believe that. I'm confident in that, Troy. But in terms of, is there another level? From the bottom of my heart, man, I got no idea. And in one way, I'm kind of like annoyed that I don't know. Another way, I'm kind of excited because I'm already thinking like, it's April and we're talking about the Vikings. And it's like, Sam Darnold's going to be the Vikings quarterback again. Let's just say that's like confirmed. Like, I don't know what my take will be. I don't know if I'm going to be like, Sam Darnold is going to be even better. I'm going to be like, I don't know. Like, I really don't. But if there is more room for him to get even better, more comfortable, I mean, you have a legitimate top 5 quarterback then, who's in his athletic prime, who still should have like 3, 4, 5 years of like true prime in you. He's not old. He's not 32 years old. So Sam Darnold continues to be such a fascinating story and such a fascinating spot. And like I said, I've been really consumed by the idea now of like, we've seen him rapidly improve. Is there more growth? Is there more growth? And they talk about this with kids getting older. This will be my last point. When they get older and they develop, especially if they struggle with like addiction and whatnot, There's kind of a saying, and this isn't like a hard science, but there's definitely some truth to it, where it's like, if you're an addict of some sort, when you really kind of get lost in your addiction, like, you stop maturing. So if you were 18 years old and you really just started to party hard, if you're in it for the next 10 years, like, you still have the maturity level of like an 18-year-old. And again, it's not this pure hard science, but there is a tremendous amount of truth to that. I mean, you're dealing with people who are like 50, 60, 45, whatever, and you can see you're like, I'm talking to like a 16-year-old right now, and it's part of the treatment. You have to actually figure out, like, how do I relate to them? How do I connect with these people? How do I help them? How do I meet them where they're at? Then once they kind of get clean and sober and they can kind of get their life back on track, like, then the maturity process kind of begins again. And I have to imagine it's going to be very similar with sports and athletics, that, like, when you're not really supported and surrounded by the right coaches, it doesn't matter that it's year 3, year 4, year 5. Because we also know this with weight training as well, which would probably have been the better example, where we know, for the most part, if you're training properly, like exercise, lifting weights, you can gain, as a beginner, they're called newbie gains, as beginner gains, you can gain around 24 pounds of muscle, okay, in your first year. And then the second year, it'll drop down to maybe like 20, 18. It depends on your genetics and all that. And then with each year that passes, it gets less and less and less, until you reach a point where, like, gaining like a pound of muscle is like a massive victory over an entire year. And you'll use years of training as a general guideline. And it's pretty accurate. We have had decades of people working out and just millions of people working out. So we know with a pretty high degree of confidence. But you have to be training correctly, because there's plenty of people who are not training correctly. They could be training for 5 years and they still have all of their newbie gains still. They still have all of those beginner gains. They still have 20 pounds of easy muscle to gain. And the moment you get them right, and the moment you get them with the right trainer, doing the right workout, eating the right food, boom, boom, the gains are there. And so it doesn't matter that they've already been training. It's not like, well, I've already been training for 5 years, so my beginner gains are no longer. That's not the way it works. And so I have to imagine that's what we could potentially see with Sam Darnold. So I have to imagine we just now saw like 80% of his growth that he could have gotten when he was like a first or second year player, if he was actually within the right system with the right coaching staff. So I do have to imagine that he will take another step forward even next year. Not as big as the jump that we saw this year, but I still have to imagine it's going to be equivalent to him being like a second or third, probably a third year player. What's that jump from second to third, or third to fourth? I think that's what we'll see with Sam Darnold, which is exciting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Sam Darnold? Do you think he's proven that he's a franchise quarterback? And do you think there's still more room for growth from him? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.